Welcome to Fiery Discourse, your podcast and media featuring dragonesses, female dinosaurs, and other similar saurians and scalies. I'm your host, Ludmillanon, and with me are my co-hosts, Angron, LuckyEevee, Mathmachine, Jordan, and Stryker. Today is our 62nd episode, and we're discussing the 2003 Dave the Barbarian episode, Here There Be Dragons. So, let's get things started. Now, Disney Channel was probably in third place between Nickelodeon and Cartoon Network in terms of children's channels. What they made up for that placement is that they had a lot of shows that were really, really weird. And Dave the Barbarian was arguably the single funniest show that they had ever made. Every episode had such incredibly sharp writing and amazing visual gags. Just a little spoiler warning here. This entire podcast is probably just going to be us gushing about how good this show is because it really is one of a kind.
Yeah, probably.
I've often described it that I'm not sure if it's a chicken or egg scenario. I don't know if this show helped create millennial humor or if the writers just really got millennials from a very young age.
Yeah, it's hard to say.
It could be both.
I mean,
it very well could be both.
I mean, arguably you could say Phineas and well, maybe, but yeah, I think Dave the Barbarian definitely got humor down to a T.
Oh, definitely. You know they did. And the funny thing too, it was made by the same team that made The Weekenders, which was a decent show, but compared to this, it's absolutely amazing that those guys made like this kind of show, which is just so full of so many good gags. And I think the one joke that everyone remembers from this show, and just to prove how good it is the part with the narrator saying, "Thinking quickly, Dave made a megaphone by using a squirrel, some string, and a megaphone." And then that's not even the best part, is because later on in the episode, like when the whole thing ends, it cuts to like a behind the scenes section with like Dave sitting in a director's chair, and he looks at the audience and he says, "I bet you're wondering why I made a squirrel, a string, and a megaphone to make a megaphone. Well, goodbye." And the show literally just ends like that. That's the type of show that Dave the Barbarian was. And it was just like every single episode had at least 5 to 6 really big, like belly laugh level gags in it. And this show, if we lived in a perfect universe, this show would have lasted for like seasons and seasons to come rather than just one. But the 21 episodes we got are very, very highly recommended.
I grew up with this show, and honestly, I would wholeheartedly recommend this to anyone who was a fan of like the shows around the 2000s. Even.
Oh, definitely, I would too.
Yeah.
Anyone like seriously, whoever's looking for a good laugh too, this is a really good show.
Yeah, definitely. So the episode we're talking about today is called Here There Be Dragons, and it's famous for having 2 very famous guest stars in it. Ones that you never in a billion years would ever think would be on a Disney Channel animated show. We have James and Lars from Metallica.
Darn, you threw off my joke.
Sorry. My apologies. Sorry about that.
Let's see. They're very popular in the early 2000s. It's a duo of people that were everywhere. They're heavy metal inspired. Must be Milli Vanilli.
Nice.
Wow.
Okay, that's funny.
That would have been good. I'm so sorry that I kind of stepped in it like that. But anyway, at least we could say that this show and this episode made up for Saint Anger, and it's not going to be the only Saint Anger joke, so get ready for them.
Oh boy.
But yeah, the episode begins, of course, as all of them do, with the theme song, which sets the tone right away. I love when shows do like running gags in their intros, kind of like The Simpsons with the couch gag and things like that. In this show, what it was, every time Dave slams the door at the end, the castle crumbles to reveal a different thing. And this episode, it was all of them hiding inside of a dragon's mouth, which probably was done to foreshadow the episode. And again, it's something that they don't have to do, but it's a really, really nice touch.
Always has something to do with each episode. And
that's always fun. That's always fun when they manage to link to it like that.
Disney was one of those rare channels that actually had those alternating intros for their shows. My favorite was Pepper Ann. She always found something different.
More or
Oh,
less,
wow,
yeah.
it's been years since I thought about that show.
Yeah,
Wow,
I
wow.
I saw it back in 2021. I was pretty surprised with what it ultimately did.
It holds up. It really does hold up.
Indeed.
And yeah, so the episode
Oh,
begins
oh,
with the narrator.
actually, that honestly reminds me of this one scene from the first episode of freaking House of Mouse, where like as Pete gets kicked out of the place, he like you see Pepper Ann and her mom walking past Pete, and Pepper Ann's mom is like, "Oh, don't talk to him. He's a villain."
Yeah, like that. That was fun. You know, they actually tied them into the bigger Disney animated universe at the time.
Yeah,
But,
and
yeah.
keep in mind they were made by the same people who would later make Kids Next Door.
Nice.
Oh yeah,
But
you
yeah,
can tell from the art style.
yeah. But now, getting back to
Yep.
Dave the Barbarian, just for a little tangent there. The episode begins with how most of them did, with the narrator of the show, who's voiced by Jeff Bennett, who is best known for being Johnny Bravo, and he is absolutely hilarious. He's one of the best parts of this show, with his over-the-top dramatic voice in that. He makes every single line delivery, even like the most innocent one, just really like hilarious. He is easily one of the best ones. And there's another great episode that revolves around him that we'll discuss after this one. But for now, he begins talking about the mysterious nomads who visit Erdogoth, and they sell goods such as fish cakes, cheese coats, and toad accessories, all of which are shown to the audience and look hilarious. Now, by toad accessories, we mean toads as in amphibians, not Toad from Mario. Although that would be an amazing crossover.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm the
Man,
best!
Not sure how Nintendo would have reacted to it, but it would have been amazing.
Yeah. Oh man.
Yeah. But, well, it turns out these nomads are extremely sensitive to criticism, and when Dave just asks how fresh their fish is, they put a curse onto the land that the sun will get that the star will get exceedingly hotter, and then they finish it just like going neener 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 like that, and it's just the way that it's built
Wow.
up is so funny. It really, really is.
What a
Childish
bunch of
humor in
a-holes.
this show is really hilarious.
It is.
Yeah.
Again,
Like you get this big bad whole like but and all of a sudden it's like like freaking L on their forehead, like middle school sort of deal. Oh man.
yeah, exactly.
That's hilarious.
So yeah, Fang is extremely upset at him, and she basically sets him ablaze using Faffy the Dragon's lightning. We then see the land getting hotter with a lot of cute visual gags, such as eggs frying in a nest and flowers being set ablaze.
Also, the House of Wax basically just being a giant house.
That's later on. That's in a little while, but still,
Oh,
that's another good gag. We'll get to that. But
Yeah.
Lula, Dave's enchanted magical sword, berates him for this. She's voiced by Estelle Harris, who most people probably know as Mrs. Costanza on Seinfeld or Mrs. Potato Head from Toy Story, and perfect casting right here. Just like every time she opens her mouth, it is absolutely perfect.
Oh,
Yeah.
my goodness.
Yeah. But the wizard Osgrove tells him that the star in the curse does not mean the sun, but it's referring to the Star of Night, which is a magical gemstone that could break the curse. And so here we get another really funny joke where Dave is all, I must find this, Star of Night. I will stop at nothing. And then he finds his located in the cave, apparently. It's like, oh, well, we tried. We had a good run. And Dave is voiced by, Dan Cooksey, who also did a lot of voice acting. His most notable role was Montana Max on Tiny Toon Adventures, but he has done so much more than that. I mean,
He was
he has
also
been
Jack
working
Spicer in Shaolin Showdown.
exactly.
Oh dang, he was?
Yeah.
Nice. Okay. Add respect.
Yeah, while you may have trouble hearing Montana Max in his Dave voice, you absolutely hear Jack Spicer, Evil Boy Jr.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
hear
you're
it 100%
definitely
now. Thanks for reminding me of that.
Yeah,
Oh,
you're
man.
definitely good.
Oh
But
man.
yeah,
I hope there's a Dragoness in freaking Shaolin Showdown, because that would be fun to revisit.
We
That
will
would
have
be.
to see about that. We will have to
Oh,
look into
yeah.
that. But
Absolutely.
But after Dave gives up trying to find it, his sister Candy demands that he fixes it before her hair messes up, and it
already
does so anyway. And again, just to show what kind of a show this is, she literally punches his head into his body, which forces Fang to have to get it out. But she pulls out a variety of different heads. This show is filled with so many gags that if we were here just to talk about each and every one, this episode would be like 5 hours long, but it would be worth it because
Yeah. Also, interesting fact.
Hey,
I think
Dave,
that was
got
my
your inner
favorite
child.
gag, though, because
yeah, exactly. That's
yes,
perfect.
that one.
Perfect way to end it.
Yeah. Also, funny thing. Also, interesting thing. Fang is voiced by the same person who does Dot and that one witch from Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Chris
So,
McNeil, and she also voices our Dragoness in this episode, believe it or not.
Ooh, wait, what? What?
Yeah, that's her.
Ooh,
That's
yep.
her voicing the Dragoness that we're going to talk about in a
Actually,
couple
I
minutes.
hear it now. Now that I
Yeah.
think about
Okay, then we're learning things on this show.
Yep.
it.
Okay.
Very much so.
Yeah, while we may have gotten a famous guest star duo for the Dragons, the Dragoness is just
Yep.
voiced
Yeah,
by
it's
Fang.
voiced by Dot.
Yep, I can see. Yeah. But so Dave, Fang, and Faffy make their way towards the Cave of Peril, which the narrator claims was extremely exciting. And the show was very famous for having no fourth wall whatsoever. If they saw a joke, they were going to make it no matter what. And you get to see Dave showing the audience slides of their trip over, which mostly consists of them encountering very weird monsters. And then there's a great joke. It cuts to, oh, my ballet recital, and more monsters. And then he looks right at the audience. Okay, back to the show. And then it just cuts right back to where they left off.
Oh my gosh.
Again, it really is so good.
That's not
is
even my
classic.
favorite gag. Just, oh my
Yeah.
gosh, and it's still funny.
It is. It's so funny. So, they make their way to the cave, which has a sign warning of dragons, where it's spelled incredibly wrong, which leaves Dave to remark in another great line, "Oh, great, my two least favorite things, flesh-tearing monsters and really bad spelling," and he tries to run away.
That's my favorite freaking gag period. Like,
I can see why.
my least favorite thing.
Least favorite things.
Yeah.
Flesh-rending, flesh-rending monsters and bad spelling.
Perfect impression right there, by the way.
Oh yeah, that's pretty dang good, all things considered.
a
I don't
good
think I
one.
could do it any better.
Yeah, that is a good one. That is a good one. What happens is Fang tells him that Faffy is a dragon and he isn't scary, which gets Dave the idea to toss him into the cave to talk to the other dragons. Faffy doesn't talk, but he's voiced by Frank Welker. And for those of you who have been playing along at home, this is easily the 5th or 6th time I believe he has come up in the podcast. And spoilers, he's definitely going to be on the podcast in the future because this guy is so prolific that sooner or later you're going to hit on him in at least 1 or 2 more media pieces, if not 20 more.
Yeah. You're absolutely going to see him more coming up.
Yeah.
Like, hands down.
Yeah. And then again, we get more hilarity from the narrator. He lets out a great bit of narration where he wonders if Faffy is afraid of what he will find. And he says, or he would if his brain wasn't the size of a blueberry. But then again, it's here where he sees the trio of dragons, all of whom have a punk metal motif to them, owing to the guest stars. One of them is a blue scale dragoness, named Roxy, voiced by the great Tress McNeil. And I do like the hair and lipstick combo on her and the blonde hair. Now, granted, this show isn't the best for having designs. I think the best comparison I could make with the designs is something like Rocky and Bullwinkle or the other type of Jay Ward cartoons. Again, that would probably serve as a major inspiration for the show in general, come to think of it.
Honestly, I see these dragons, and they kind of freaking remind me of the Royal Rebels or Royal Demons for all you people in Japan listening from Yu-Gi-Oh! And also kind of just any other, and also Parrot Dragon kind of. It's a little weird, but they also remind me a little bit of Muffy from the Pink Panther.
I very much got that vibe. Yes, I did get that vibe from Roxy as well, especially with like maybe the style of the eyes in particular.
Yeah. But it very much looks looks toony. It also reminds me of that dragon from oh gosh, what was it? There was that one Fairly Odd Parents episode, and then there was that other episode like the feral dragon and whatnot.
Yeah, the one we talked about
Before.
Yeah, that one 99 is called.
The one issue I've always had with Dave is that the animation was hit and miss, largely because it was trying to keep up with the chaotic humor, and it sometimes wasn't able to do that. So the character designs were
Yeah, that
awesome
makes
sense,
times
honestly.
this.
It
That
does.
absolutely makes sense.
Yeah, again, kind of
Yeah.
like how the Jay Ward cartoons, like Rocky and Bullwinkle, were with their
Yeah.
character designs in a way. But
Yeah.
anyway, the other two dragons, named Chino and Jet, as we previously mentioned several times, are voiced by James Hetfield and Lars Ulrich. And
Hmm.
I'm gonna say
That's
this right
actually
now.
really awesome.
Yeah, I can't hear Lars Ulrich without thinking of Todd in the Shadow's great bit from his Saint Anger video. Oh, you can play along at home like he does. And then he bangs on a pot with a wooden spoon. Hey, everybody, look at me. I'm Lars Ulrich.
Oh
Just
god.
that one bit makes me
Wow.
laugh so hard of his.
I can see
yeah,
why, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Oh
But-
man, that's funny.
But anyway, the trio laugh at Faffy and they basically stretch him to get information out of him. Jet
Yeah.
finds out that Faffy is a pet and he's disgusted at this, claiming that you're supposed to be a fierce fire-breathing dragon. And then there's another great bit of dialogue where Faffy basically does, gibberish talk is how he speaks. And then he says, okay, you're a lightning-breathing dragon. We're not prejudiced.
Yeah.
It's just about the
base.
delivery of that, especially for two guys who really are not known for acting in anything. They do a decent job. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah,
They
they're
actually
absolutely pretty great
They
here.
do a better job than a lot of famous guest stars on cartoons do that are just so wooden or so, obviously reading off a script. It felt like these two actually gave it their all.
Oh
And,
yeah, it's pretty great.
And they did this thing that a lot of guests don't actually do. They voice
Yeah.
that
acted.
too.
I'm
Exactly.
acting. I like to wear women's clothing. I like to wear women's.
Okay.
Oh god.
Okay,
Oh,
that's
just
all right,
another
that's
bit of
all right.
humor there for all the
It's
people
alright,
at home.
It's all right. It's all good. It's all good. But yeah,
Like it sounded like they were actually doing characters rather than
yeah,
just
they
voicing
did. They did a good job
themselves.
with it. And Chino's joke is that he repeats everything that Jet says, and we then get another good gag where Jet basically says, "Dragons don't work for the man. You got to be a real
Yeah.
dragon in that." And yeah, basically, Faffy leaves the cave, and Dave asks, "Are they nice? Did they give you hors d'oeuvres?" And again, perfect delivery from the voice actor right here.
Oh yeah.
It really, really is. So, Faffy then claims that the dragons will give them the Star of Night as they run in. Lula claims that she has a bad feeling about the cave, not because it's dangerous, because of its tacky decor. Again, and another little great subversion right there. But then
Yeah,
there's
that's
a
pretty
joke that
funny.
really just got me laughing so hard. When we see the Star of Night, it's in a package and on a shelf, like something you'd find in like a retail store.
Yeah.
It's like that visual gag. I actually had to stop and rewind it for a second because that was so funny.
Wait, repeat the visual gag again.
Sorry. What it is, they run into the cave and they see the Star of Night, and it's in like a package, like what you'd find in, like a store in that,
Yeah, that's
like with like
funny.
shrink wrap and all that.
You probably got it from Dollar Tree or a Savers or something like
Yeah,
that.
it's just
Oh man.
Be them for
It's like one
Arbor
of those
Day.
good voice
yeah,
things.
yeah. Oh, we'll get back to that. We'll get back to that. But then the trio of dragons show up and loom over them. Dave asks if they're going to eat them, but it turns out since they're fire-breathing dragons, they can only eat coal, which is a nice touch and leads to some nice wordplay as well. But
Yeah.
it's here where, at least for me, this was the funniest joke of the episode. They're forced to work in the coal mines, and then we get a really, really great gag with, at least Dave isn't allergic to coal. He is. And then Dave's instantly swells up and he collapses to the ground.
And-
Just think about the timing of that gag. It is so funny. Granted, I really hope we're not doing like dissecting a joke in that by not making it funny in that, but you really have got to watch this show if you have not seen it in years or
Yeah.
if you have never seen it. This is a show that has to be experienced by everyone.
Yeah, it's pretty great.
Yeah.
Oh man. Like, how does someone even get a coal allergy? I mean, like, there's allergies for peanuts, frickin' milk, frickin' paper, I guess, the materials in paper at least. Polyester is another one.
If anyone could find a way,
Yeah.
it would
It
be
was a
Dave.
running gag that Dave had allergies to pretty much everything on Earth.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, that was a running
That
gag on the
guy
show.
even
but it's
alive
this one in
outside of the
particular
Toon Force.
that really got to me. Yeah.
Oh man, how's that guy even alive outside of the frickin' Toon Force? It's like, oh my gosh. Oh man, that's hilarious.
Yeah, it is great. It is great.
It also reminds me of this one freaking gag from Clone High, where it's like the principal Shepherd or Skinner, I think, and he's like dealing with this recurring skunk character in this one episode where he like gets blasted by
Skudworth.
yeah, Principal Scudworth. That's who he was, and like got blasted by freaking the skunk, and every time the skunk was like, "You got skunked," and like each time the principal like gets put in very very dangerous situations, and like it's all cartoony and whatnot. But I'm just looking at this and like, how still alive?
I
He's
know.
getting
It's just,
gas blasted by a freaking skunk, and on top of everything else, and yet he's back up and just like, I'm gonna kill you again. And meanwhile, you got freaking Principal B over there being like, Wesley. Oh gosh.
Nice.
Oh
That's so
man.
classic. But yeah, getting back to this one, we get to see the other dragons give Faffy a punk makeover. The purple hair in
Nice.
particular is really, really funny, and he's taught how to be a proper dragon. They teach him how to roar by using breath spray, how to look menacing by pulling his face back, and, according to the narrator, how to brush ketchup stains out of his wings. And then
Very
the
important.
narrator claims that Faffy feels guilt over betraying Dave and Fang, but then I like this to me is one of the gags that really got me on the floor laughing is, but then he deals with it by instantly forgetting about it. Such is the advantage of his single-digit IQ.
This is the advantage of having a single-digit IQ.
Exactly.
Oh man.
I mean,
P-Brain and all he's like, and he feels guilt, and P-Brain's just like, oh man, that's funny.
Yeah. But the hilarity continues because we cut back to the kingdom where we get to see the tourist attractions affected by the heat, which consists of the ice ring, which melts, the house of wax, which also
Which
melts, and then it cuts to the museum of things that explode when things get hot, which is
Oh,
very
gosh.
self-explanatory.
When things get too hot.
Exactly.
Sparky Boom Man wasn't in there.
I think the best part of that joke was the House of Wax. It's not that the things in the house melts. It's
Yeah, I
literally
know,
that
I
the
said
house
that.
itself
Exactly.
melts.
I love how the museum had Comic Sans on the front of
Yeah.
it.
No, I
man.
don't think that was an intentional joke. I think that at the time was because Comic Sans did not have the reputation it did back then. But
Oh,
it does
no,
make
they
it a little bit funnier. Yeah,
They probably just did that because, like,
it was cheap. Yeah,
it was a cheap thing.
but it's
Yeah.
alright. So yeah,
It was
back
cheap.
at the castle, we get to see Candy working on her tan, while Osgrove tries a cold spell, which summons penguins, a giant ice cream cone, and 2 polar bears who promptly decide to drink milkshakes. And that is the kind of show we're talking about, where
Yep.
the logic, logic, plot, story, it all's out the window for jokes. It really is like the closest thing to like Looney Tunes style of like humor. I think
Or
even
Mickey
better than the
Mouse, at the very least.
or like the House of Mouse, Mickey Mouse or type of humor. But it is the closest thing to that in years, I think. For
yeah.
that really classic kind of humor like that. But yeah, we cut back to the cave as the dragons are basically sitting around talking to each other before Roxy gets the idea to torment the humans. They put Fang in a giant hamster cage, and Roxy uses Dave as a clown marionette. And she has a great line here. See how I turned the human into a foolish clown who is a fool. And it's even better with her delivery. Her voice is, I think the closest thing I can compare it to is the crazy old cat lady from The Simpsons.
Nice.
That's the kind of voice she's putting on for Roxy in this episode.
Or
And it
the-
really
Hear
does,
that.
yeah.
I hear crazy old cat lady, and I think of that crazy old cat lady character from Codename Kids Next Door, literally named Crazy Old Cat Lady.
Yeah. I don't think Trish McNeil voiced her, though. I'm not sure about that. But anyway, Faffy is unnerved by all this, and he flashes back to with his fun with Dave. And it's here we get a really funny series of flashbacks. It mostly consists of Dave doing activities like throwing sticks and frisbees at Faffy, and he just falls over with like a squeaking noise. And,
Oh man.
just I think it's just the perfect sound effect. It's like the perfect like squeaky dog toy, like
Oh my goodness.
when he falls over, and it's just like hilarious.
Yeah,
Classic,
this show
classic.
definitely got humor down.
Oh, it is. I mean, it really is. But we do get a pretty cool moment as well, where he sheds a tear at this before he feels rage towards the other dragons, and he uses the essence of roar to confront them. We finally get a great gag that, again, shows how good that this show is written, where Chino does his vocal tick of repeating everything Chet says, and Chet actually confronts him on it, and he reacts by saying, "Oh, it's an attempt to make me stick out in this world of conformity." It's something that you don't expect would happen in a show like this, but you have to process it for a couple of seconds, and it hits. And I think one of the reasons why Dave the Barbarian holds up, it had jokes for kids and jokes for adults. And even the jokes for kids really, really hit hard. This should be on the level. If we lived in a just world, this would be as meme-worthy as SpongeBob, because this show is so good. And it just, everything with it is hilarious. But
yeah, absolutely.
The part that makes me laugh is more of a meta thing, because the entire time that Jet was there, I was like, wait, this is voiced by Lars Ulrich? And then he did that hyper-intelligent, full of himself joke, and I was like, oh, there's Lars.
Oh, man.
Oh, my goodness.
That's great.
Nice.
That's amazing. That is amazing. But because of this, Faffy is so enraged that he actually manages to easily defeat the other 3 dragons.
Damn.
And, yep. We then get another really great gag where he just takes the Star of Night, and Jet, again, I have to reiterate, this is James Hetfield saying this. Hey, don't take that. It was a gift from my mom for Arbor's Day. Again, you have to figure it's that guy saying this,
yes.
The guy who's saying Enter Sandman is saying that.
Oh my
Nice.
goodness. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, the guy who sang Metallica and whose entire band got a stand for JoJo Golden Wind named after it. That is certainly like peak, honestly.
Oh, definitely. It definitely is. But what happens is the 3 of them make their way back to the castle. Dave hugs Faffy, who accidentally shoots lightning in his face. But it turns out they've... I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, good job.
Oh, perfect. Yes. Oh, yeah, it's great. But the 3 of them make their way
interesting thing about that, actually.
Sorry, go ahead.
Dave the Barbarian's catchphrase, Bajabbers, I heard it for the longest time as McJabbers. It's like, oh, man.
Oh, and then, of course, there's his other famous catchphrase, please don't hurt me.
Perfect, yes. You really do a good impression of her. You really
Hey,
do.
I try my best with impressions.
Same, even though I don't really have the range.
Same.
Anyway.
Yeah, okay, man. They make their way back to the kingdom, only to find that everything was already fixed while they were gone. It turns out that Candy's tan that she was getting earlier on actually turned out to be plot relevant, because the nomads like to grow with a tan, and they just decided to remove the curse randomly.
Oh, gosh.
But then, of course, Dave is so enraged at this, he opens the door to storm out, but he smashes against the 2 nomads, who then decide to put another curse on him. And this curse is the worst one of all, because the curse is to make the episode fade to black. It's that kind of show. They will point out, every single cliche, every single thing. They will basically, nothing is off limits with it. And the episode ends with basically Dave and...
over?
Yeah, exactly.
Does this mean we suffered the fate of the Sopranos?
Oh, God. Well, they don't say that, but they do say, Stryker got it right. They do say, does this mean the show's over? Yeah, probably. And then it just ends. The episode just ends right there.
Imagine if it did, though. That would be, cruel, but also funny.
Oh, it definitely would. But, yeah, as I'm sure we have reiterated again and again, Dave the Barbarian was an absolutely hilarious cartoon. But sadly, it did not last long. It only lasted 21 episodes. Even if it did last for longer, it probably wouldn't have, because at the time, Disney Channel had this, I believe, contract thing where every episode of their shows would last no more than 65 episodes, because that was the amount of episodes they needed to do a syndication, apparently. But here's an even more interesting thing about Dave the Barbarian. It never was officially announced as being canceled. That means that on paper, it is technically still in production, but on hiatus.
Well, damn.
Yeah, so if they wanted to,
worse than death.
If they wanted to, they could announce another season tomorrow. If they so wanted to,
Honestly,
they really could. But
Indeed.
it's in this weird sort of limbo where, and it's not even on Disney Plus, which is extremely strange. Like House of Mouse not being on there, maybe there's rights issues with the Mickey Mouse Works or something. I don't know. But for this, not Buzz Lightyear Star Command not being there is because Pixar doesn't like it, despite them being terribly, terribly wrong about it. That show was great.
Wow, man.
That show was great and way better than the Lightyear movie we got. But this not being on Disney Plus, I don't get it. I mean, because there's nothing objectionable about it. It's funny as hell. It holds up fantastic. I have no idea what is holding it because everyone who worked on this was, Disney and that, and it's very, very strange. But regardless,
I guess is because you said that this was made by the same guy who made The Weekenders, Doug Langdale. It's probably some contract issue with him. Like he has more of the rights to this, or they have to pay him royalties and they're not wanting to, or something.
that's very true. I did not think about that, but that very well could be, huh? So
Yeah, that could very well be an option.
unfortunately,
Because Weekenders isn't on
yeah.
there.
wow, really, I did not know that, huh? So
It might
that's,
have to do with the creators of those shows then.
yeah,
Probably, yeah. I would
yeah.
not be surprised if it was.
Yeah, but thankfully, there are HD copies of it because of the obscure channel Disney Cine Magic, which operated throughout Europe mostly. They aired all these shows in HD, so that's why you can find HD copies of them online pretty easily. Not saying to
Wish
do
the
it, not saying
Wuzzles
not to
got-
do it.
Wish the Wuzzles got the same treatment.
Yeah,
honestly.
unfortunately, I don't think that aired on Disney Cinemagic. But regardless of all that, Dave the Barbarian is absolutely hilarious. If you have not seen the show, or if you're like me, who has not seen the show for like 20 plus years, you have got to owe it to yourself to go back and watch this. You are going to have such a good time. Like, I just watched, this episode to, for the podcast, but then I went back and watched pretty much every single one. I kind of binged it. Man, it is so hilarious. I think, and again, probably one of the best episodes they ever did was the episode with the narrator, where the narrator comes under a spell where he's forced to obey Chuckles, the evil piggy, who is a reoccurring
Chuckles,
villain.
the silly piggy.
Yeah, thank you,
Oh,
thank you
gosh.
for correcting it. Yeah, he's forced to basically reenact them, but then the narrator loses his voice, so they're forced to rely on alternate narrators. The first narrator is like a sugary sweet type of, kid show narrator. And the second one is a parody of like science fiction shows. And the whole genre of the show changes from being like a fantasy epic to being like a parody of a space opera. It is hilarious. And,
Man, I
that's
kind of
gotta be my
want to go
favorite
back
episode.
I kind of want to go back and check the show
You
now.
gotta see it. You gotta
I'll
see
watch
it. It is.
later.
It is highly, highly recommended.
Oh,
Yeah,
man.
So,
yeah,
Oh,
definitely,
that's
definitely.
awesome.
Yeah.
Uh,
But now it is time for the question of the episode, which is, what is your favorite Disney Channel or Toon Disney cartoon? And I'm going to go first. Probably one of my favorites, and one that I feel does not get a lot of love. I mean, there's Kim Possible, there's Jake Long, both of which are really great, and I'm glad they still are getting recognition, especially on Disney Plus, apparently, which is very surprising. But I think one of them that actually was my favorite as a kid, and it gets like almost no love, and it's very strange. I'm going to go with either, actually a tie, between Mickey Mouse Works / House of Mouse, or my second choice is going to be Recess. Both of which were really just absolutely fantastic shows. House of Mouse is a great tribute to Disney in that, and it was basically a springboard for the Mickey Mouse Works cartoons, which probably are some of the funniest stuff that Disney ever did. And everyone says that, 2013 Mickey Mouse is the first time Mickey Mouse has been funny since like the 30s and 40s. But no, Mickey Mouse Works is a great, great show too. But yeah, and House of Mouse is such a great tribute to Disney as a whole, and you can tell that unlike something like, for example, Ralph Breaks the Internet, which was like nakedly corporate and cynical, you can feel like House of Mouse had at least some love and care put into it, that whoever made it, they genuinely cared about these characters and about this past, rather than stuff like, again, Ralph Breaks the Internet, which is like, we gotta get this, we gotta get Groot in there because we like Baby Groot and we gotta promote the toys and stuff like that. But yeah, but Recess man, Recess is such a good show. It was my favorite as a kid, one of my all-time favorites, and I went back and rewatched it, I think, during COVID, because of boredom and that, and man, it holds up. It really holds up. It is funny. It is well written. The voice actors are all on point, and it is just a fantastic, fantastic show. And also, fun fact, I believe the creators of the show previously worked on Rugrats before they left Klasky Cuspo due to feuding with Arlene Claspy. And yeah, I definitely like Recess is such a funny show. It really, really is. And it has really good morals and a really good message too. And overall, it just has this feeling and this vibe that I feel like kids shows nowadays, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with them, but there's something missing of like these kind of shows. I guess the closest thing to Recess would be something like Craig of the Creek, which does kind of have similar vibes to it.
And Codename Kid Next Door.
No, actually, no, Recess wasn't as action packed. Recess is more like a slice of life level stuff,
Yeah, I
and
can see that.
they are good. I also liked Doug, both Disney Doug and Nickelodeon Doug, so you can feel free to stone me to death for that opinion. But yeah, I'm sorry, I like him. I
Right.
like him. He's classic. That's another show that holds up really well. But yeah, those are gonna be it.
I think what really helped Recess is that the adult characters in the first few episodes, it looks like they're just going to make them the stereotypical, oh, you're the adults in a kids show, so you're just evil, cartoonishly. So they actually really flesh them out.
yeah.
Miss Finster and Mr. Prickly are actually given
Definitely.
pretty good depth
There's a great
throughout
episode
the
called
series.
Weekend at Finster's where Spinelli has to stay over at Miss Finster's house. At first, she hates it. She's bored and that. She gets annoyed with all her friends. But then they grow to actually like each other and like each other's company and that. And when they get back to school, she says that, oh, I can't be seen, fraternalizing with the students, but, you're a good kid in that. And it really, again, it gives them a lot of depth. And it was probably one of the first shows to really, really do that. And it worked out really well because of that. So those are going to be my picks. There's going to be a House of Mouse slash Mickey Mouse Works, and above all, Recess. That's going to be my number one pick. So, Angron, what would you say is your favorite Disney Channel / Toon Disney cartoon?
Oh boy. Yeah, the obvious answer would have to be Gravity Falls, but oh man, there are a lot to choose from, honestly, because I would say oh boy, yeah, there are honestly a lot, but I would say Wuzzles, because Wuzzles absolutely deserves all the love, and it is very saddening that that series got canned, or at the very least got
Forced
drop.
on hiatus.
Yeah, on hiatus, like Dave the Barbarian.
Yep, exactly.
But yeah, I'm sorry, Gravity Falls won me over in that regard. Like, just everything about it, honestly. Like, it has Dave the Barbarian's level of humor, but it also has action, realism, that sort of thing. And yeah, like, it was basically like I did as well grow up on Recess, so I know what you mean, but man, definitely Gravity Falls for me.
Yeah, I definitely can see why, because that is the show I think that got a lot of people basically to sit up and notice Disney Channel cartoons after a long time of not doing it. I mean, Phineas and Ferb, was a huge hit, and that probably definitely helped. But I feel like Gravity Falls is something that just like transcended, I think, really a lot of boundaries in that. I remember reading that, well, again, kind of flashing back here, I used to post on, again, a My Little Pony forum, and when Gravity Falls came out, everybody on the forum, myself included, was just blown away that this was on Disney Channel, and it turned out really good. Yeah, it really, really did, and it's a classic for a reason, and it's a shame it was ended early, probably, in my opinion, maybe a little earlier than it should have, but yeah, no, that is an excellent choice right there. So, Stryker, what would you have to say is your favorite Disney Channel / Toon Disney show?
Okay, while I was growing up, I will mention this right now. One of the first shows I actually watched was Recess.
Nice.
And of
Awesome.
I even saw the Disney version of Doug around that time as well.
Nice.
But going with my gut, I will have to say I'm gonna have to say one of the Disney afternoon shows. I'm thinking about which one because they were all like stuff that I remember quite fondly. You know what? I'm gonna go with Darkwing Duck.
Nice.
Nice. Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. If it wasn't Wuzzles or freaking what was it? Oh yeah, if it wasn't Wuzzles or Gravity Falls, mine would have probably been Mighty Ducks. Like,
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, there's something about the Disney afternoon shows. Again, as we mentioned in our episode on Gummy Bears, go back and watch it if you haven't. Ha ha ha. They all really, compared to a lot of children's television like the 80s and early 90s, they really, raised the bar for a lot of it. Not like on the level of like say like the first Nicktoons did, but for like the time before that, they really probably were some of the best stuff on television for kids.
I also have a special mention for
Go ahead.
Goof Troop,
Awesome. That's a great show right there.
and
Nice.
of course, one that's underrated in my opinion, Quack Pack.
Oh yep. And we talked about Quack Pack and of course Nelly the Dragoness, who is a very great character. We talked about that too. And yeah, Quack Pack is a show that I feel like if they kept Huey, Dewey, and Louie more to their canonic selves, I feel like it would be remembered correctly. I feel like a lot of the times people basically think of it, oh, it's 90s extreme kind of thing, where it's not really that bad. I've seen a lot worse
Yeah.
stuff trying to be pandering to like the zeitgeist in that show.
And I feel
Yeah.
like it was canceled way too early, in my opinion.
Same.
Yeah, and honestly, despite the whole '90s aesthetic, it's still Donald Duck at its core, more or less.
It is.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I felt like the show worked more around Donald, since it was meant to be more about the nephews.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
And
Yeah, no,
plus,
I did
like-
like that too.
And plus, like, some of the more legendary moments of the show.
Oh, absolutely. We did a podcast episode on it after all.
Yep, we did. We certainly
Yeah.
did, and it's one of our classic ones. Go check that one out if you haven't seen it.
Nice. That's
Yep.
nice.
Yep. So that's gonna be those are great picks all right there. Math, what would you have to say was your favorite Disney Channel / Toon Disney cartoon?
I've mentioned this in several previous episodes already. So if I may steal a very popular meme, here I go, gargoyle.
Oh, man.
Yes, Gargoyles.
A
Legendary.
good choice.
Yeah, cue the Keith David line. Welcome to hell, motherfucker!
Oh yeah.
Gargoyles was just so good, and it was so ahead of its time. And what they did to it is just so
Mhm.
insulting with
Yeah, I
season
can
3.
kind of see that, yeah.
And I think since the last time we talked about it, it has been confirmed that Gargoyles is getting a reboot. A live action reboot.
Okay,
Yeah.
on the one hand, possibly seeing a live action Goliath as Keith David could be interesting. The other hand, however,
If they bring back
Yeah.
Keith David.
the other hand, Disney's live action track record isn't exactly, shall we say, spotless.
Yeah. Let's be thankful that they don't do that, because although with the new X-Men show, you never know.
I mean, Marvel shows have been pretty good, actually.
Nice.
Not all of
Yeah.
them, but pretty good.
Yeah,
Yep.
I can definitely see that.
Yeah, Gargoyles was just lightning in a bottle that worked.
Even when it didn't.
And I don't think that it's something that can ever be replicated properly without the original creators. See the comic, for example. That was the original creators, and that worked really well.
Yeah, I definitely see that. I've heard good things about the comic. Actually, I might check it out. Who knows?
The comic is season 3,
Nice,
done
nice.
right.
Also, the unalleged season 4.
This
Anyways.
That's a great choice right there. Again, it really is a classic show, and it's well remembered for a reason because again, they really put all of their effort into these type of shows in general.
Mhm.
So, Jordan, what would you have to say is your favorite Disney Channel / Toon Disney cartoon?
Oh, I'm gonna go with the old Disney classic because I grew up in the 90s and up to this point. I would probably have to go with Kid Muscle.
Never heard of
Oh,
that one.
you know,
Ultimate
have not
Muscle.
either.
It used to be on 4Kids like years ago.
Ultimate Muscle,
Mm-hmm.
I see.
Yep.
which is also known as Kinnikuman Nisei in Japan.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, is that the one with the freaking joke that only works well in Japan and couldn't be translated to English?
Dude, that's so many jokes. What are you on about?
I mean, okay.
You need to be more specific.
It's the one. Oh gosh, it's the one.
It's the
Yeah.
wrestling anime.
Yeah.
I mean, there were tons of cartoons that I watched over the years that I can never keep track because there's so many that I like, from Looney Tunes to Powerpuff Girls to
Nice.
Super Fighting Monkey Force Team. There are so
Super Robot Monkey
many.
Team, Hyperforce Go.
Yep.
Yeah.
There are just so many that I would go on, but I would probably say Ultimate Muscle because it had humor, it had funny classics to it, like gags like Dave the Barbarian had, and it was just, again, you can't get rid of the classics so badly, but again, because people are like, oh, cartoons are so violent, like with Looney Tunes, you drop an anvil on someone, they're like, oh my god, he's dead, he's back the next scene.
Yeah, right. I vaguely remember that show. I don't remember too much about that, believe it or not. I very vaguely remember it, and I remember liking what I saw, but again, it has been literally like decades since I have seen these shows, so I'm definitely going to try and go back and check that out.
Yeah, it's just, again, they're so hard to like find good cartoons. People are like, oh well, Tom the Talking Cat. Tom the Talking Cat is a stupid AI thing. You don't see a cartoon show of him because it's completely boring as hell. Why are you making these? There were good cartoons that Cartoon Network had, like Johnny Bravo, Cow and Chicken. Tons and tons of good classic cartoons that are just like, oh my god, this is make your childhood live. Here we have absolutely nothing. I mean, we had Steven Universe, we had Amphibious, we had the Owl House. We had so many good cartoons, but they got canceled because the writers couldn't keep up with all the stuff that's going on, and people were like, "Oh, it's so violent. Why are we talking about racism and things like?" Are you completely kidding me? We're not talking about this. We're talking about a good storyline that you're like, "Oh, you're not seeing this." You guys are just
absolutely.
Yeah, I definitely can see that.
This generation of kids are just like, "Oh, let's just watch these widow baby shows. They're completely boring. Why are we even watching this? Where's the good classic? You drop an anvil or a piano on someone like SpongeBob did when he dropped the piano on Plankton's head.
Or when Sylvester tried to drop it on Tweety or something like that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I will disagree with one point that you made, though. They have made a good modern Tom and Jerry cartoon. It's called One Piece.
Modern
That's a
Looney
nice
Tunes,
one.
more like it.
That's a nice one. That is a nice one.
That's funny.
That's what I probably
that is
would go
actually
with. I would go with Ultimate Muscle, and there's more on the list that I would pick of my favorite.
That's a nice one right there. That is a good show. Yeah. I definitely agree with you there.
Yeah, don't know if Ultimate Muscle was the one with that joke that couldn't be transcribed into English no matter how hard you tried.
Yeah.
That we talked about recently, but yeah.
Yep.
Uh,
Those are all great choices right there. So, Evie, what would you have to say is your favorite Disney Channel /
including Disney
show?
XD.
Oh, yeah, let's include that then. Okay, go right ahead.
You fool! You gave me another excuse to talk about Pokemon.
Oh,
Pokemon Sun and Moon, bitch!
Okay.
Fucking Sun and Moon.
I mean, there's also There's also Yokai Watch, but man, Sun and Moon absolutely was the peak of the Pokemon anime. Different design, best generation, Ash finally winning something.
Actually, if we're gonna include that, then another thing I can mention, Doraemon.
Oh, now we get okay. Now I'm gonna say my piece about
Coming
that.
out of the woodwork, people. Coming out of the woodwork.
Well, I'm going to say my piece about that then. I grew up in a country where Doraemon has been airing since basically the late 70s, early 80s, and they've always aired them uncut and uncensored. There was like maybe 1 or 2 episodes they couldn't show because of content, but other than that, it was uncut and uncensored since then. So seeing like the Disney Channel version and seeing the weird cuts they did, that confuses me so much. It really, really does. Like,
I'll bet.
and changing like, Nobita, Suneo, and Higante, and how they basically, they treated them. It's very weird. And I guess because I'm so used again to the voices from the dub over here, they just sounded wrong,
Yeah, I'll bet.
Going back to my thing, Sun and
Go
Moon
ahead.
is what got me back into the anime.
Nice.
It's because of this that I went on to watch X and Y, Diamond and Pearl, and Journeys.
I note how you
then.
didn't mention Gen 5 because the black and white.
You cannot pay me to watch Gen 5.
Oh, same.
You cannot pay me to watch Universe.
The
Fuck
game was
Iris.
great. The
see
anime was
it.
awful.
Yeah,
The game was great. Anime absolutely shat on Ash, hands down. Like
They tried to do
Iris,
Kanto again, and they shot themselves in the foot so many times they were footless as Swiss cheese.
I didn't get that vibe. Honestly, it just felt like Iris was kind of being a bit of a dick in that one, more so than usual. Like even though she herself was guilty of being a goddamn hypocrite, you know.
Yep, I get you.
I believe we're trying to say.
Oh, we're
weebs,
absolutely
folks.
weaves. Some of us, anyways.
Yeah. But anyway, with that being said, it is now time for the patent pending Dragoness Scale. And
Oh, yeah.
today we're going to rank Roxy, the Dragoness, in this episode. Now, this is going to be an interesting one because the design is not the best, but at the same time, the show is not really about the design in general. And I do like that they gave her, lipstick and hair. That's a fun little touch.
Yeah,
The whole,
it's hilarious.
What's her
punk
name again?
motif.
Her
Roxy.
name is Roxy.
Roxy.
Like Roxanne
Alright,
Wolf,
hold on.
but
Yeah,
I'll look
yeah,
that up while you guys do your
Go ahead,
thing.
go ahead.
Okay.
And basically,
I already. put it
I
in the
do like,
channel.
the punk motif and how they kept it with her rather than have her wear like, oh girl stuff and that. They actually gave her the motif like the other guys. And again, the voice is so good and not much of character, but what we do get is fun. I'm gonna go with 7 again. I really think I'm gonna go with that because I think I liked her more than I probably should have, but I admit there's something about that design that it's fun.
Yeah.
And again, the voice definitely is a huge help. It really, really is. And again, the designs are more like something you'd see out of like a classic Jay Ward cartoon. So if you go into that with that sort of mindset, I think you're probably going to give it a little bit of leeway. So yeah, that's what I'm going to go with is 7 out of 10 for Roxy because again, Tristan McNeil, perfect voice actress. She does such a good job with the voice. And the fact that she sounds like, the crazy old cat lady from The Simpsons is not a downside for me because it does fit the character. And yeah, overall, I liked her a lot more than I probably should have. Realistically, she's probably more of like a 6 or even a 5, but my gut's telling me to go with 7, so I'm going to give her a 7. Angron, what would you give her?
Yeah, the design's what honestly holds this dragon back the most for me, but I don't hate it. I mean, honestly, with a series like this, I can kind of see the appeal with it. Yeah, the design was never the point; it was the joke. But yeah, the fact that freaking Dot voices this character, and the fact that the comedy works with them and whatnot, it's definitely going to give it more of a higher score than I ultimately would have anticipated. I'm definitely giving her a 6 out of 10, maybe 7 out of 10, honestly. Since I'm being a little generous, since this series was pretty great, but yeah, I might do a 7 out of 10, honestly.
So you're saying 7? All right, 7. 7's good. That's all good. Stryker, what would you give her?
Honestly, 7 out of 10. I liked her more than I thought I would.
Choo-choo!
Yeah. No, keep the train going. Yep, keep the train going. 7 out of 10 for you too. Okay. Any particular reason?
Honestly, like, I don't know. After watching it a second time, I just couldn't help but love her character. Like,
That's
even the design too.
Yeah, I definitely gotta agree with you there. That's why I gave her a 7 out of 10 too, because again, it's not like the best Dragoness design, but for what it is, I did have to admit I kind of liked it. So yeah, I'm glad that we're keeping this trend going, and let's see if it's still going. Math, what would you have to give her?
It won't.
Go
Sorry to
ahead.
disappoint,
Go ahead,
folks.
we're
Yep.
ready.
Yep.
All right, so
I was disappointed to me, but okay.
first, I didn't like that. I've just never liked this kind of haircut in general. That's just a me thing. I fully own that. The issue that I said earlier with the show, it's so chaotic. The animation is trying to keep up and sometimes can't. With their character designs, there's also the issue of the longer they're on screen, the more you get used to them, so the better the design is. It's not good for short burst designs like this, and this character barely has any screen time, so there's not enough time for me to really get used to her. It's not a bad design, but it's not a good design either. I've said before, I do 2 ratings, 1 to 5 for design, 1 to 5 for character. She's a solid 3 for the design part. I didn't like her, but I didn't hate her either. The personality I'm sorry, there's basically nothing to go with here. She absolutely feels tacked on. They wanted to have Lars and James as guest stars in this episode, and then they just threw her in as the third wheel. They don't really have her do anything. They don't have her say much. She just exists as the girl dragon. For her personality, she's a 2. So overall, it's just
I can see
fine.
that.
So,
I can see that.
okay, so all right then. So that'll be a 5 out of 10. That's all right. That's all right. You made your point very clear, and I have to admit that I understand where you're coming from with a lot of it. You know, I feel like if this is made like maybe a little earlier, I feel like maybe with like proper 2D animation, it could have really gone all wild with it. But I feel like at the time period, especially for like the mid 2000s, this show really looks pretty good for what it is. But no, I get where you're coming from exactly. So nothing to worry about that. That 5 out of 10 is still all right. Jordan, what would you have to give her?
I kind of agree with how. I mean, the style was back in the 200s, so they're going to be weird looking, but I'm glad they picked Dot's voice actress to play her because she does give out, like, oh, I'm a female with 2 dorky, dumb dragon males. They're thinking that, oh, girl dragons aren't scary. She looks like a badass. Like, every teenage girl looks like if they want to be, like, a badass. I am going to give her a 6.5.
All right.
Okay.
So you wanted like a 6 or a? All right, yeah, 6.5. Why not? Why not? We'll go with that. 6.5. Valid rating. Okay. Evie, what do you have to give her?
What do I even say? I don't think I've seen uglier.
Wow. Okay.
Oh
so,
gosh.
So what'd you say? 3?
1.
Oh,
Well,
okay
well,
then.
That's a little much. Wow.
It's
That's
not
a little.
that bad.
It's not that bad. Wow. Wow. Hey, no, you're entitled to your opinion. If you want to give her that, by all means.
Oh man.
We'll mark you down as it. It's all right. It's all
Oh
right.
man.
I think the other issue is that there aren't that many screenshots of her because the series is a bit more obscure, and this is another series that does not look good in stills.
It looks better in movement,
Yeah, it looks better.
In
Yeah.
motion. Yep.
Yeah, that's
I mean,
what
to be fair, it does better. I mean, to be fair, it does better than the Proud family, in my opinion. But yeah,
Oh, God,
I
yeah.
can see it. Yeah, I know it does. I will admit to that. But yeah. Yep. So that's going to be it for this week. If you have any questions or if you want to ask us why Dave made a megaphone with a squirrel, string, and a megaphone, you can email us at fiorydiscourse@outlook.com or visit us on Twitter at twitter.com/fiorydiscourse. Next time, we'll be discussing the 2020 DC Superhero Girls episode, The Fresh Princess of Ren Fair, Parts 1 and 2. Yep. Despite us saying parts 1 and 2, it's actually just a 22-minute episode. It's kind of weird how they did that, and we'll discuss it in the episode. And We are also going to have a special guest for that episode, so be sure to tune in for that one. And thank you guys so much for listening to this one. And until next week, take care.
Bye.
Yep, laters.
Adios. See
Peace
you
out.
next week.